welcome to my channel. My name is Wolo. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who have subscribed to my channel, and I'm so surprised that I have gotten 1,000 subscribers. Yay! Thank you for everyone who have subscribed to my channel and have seen my videos. It's been a journey. It's something that I never thought would get to this point, but I'm grateful for everybody who have seen my videos. My channel is about sharing information on life in Canada, immigrating to Canada, and everything useful in Canada. And I also want to use this opportunity to apologize to anyone I have not responded to his or her email, and that's because I receive a lot of emails, and the ones that I can respond to immediately, I do respond to them, and the ones that need further research, further asking of questions from different people, and also calling the IRCC to get clarifications, those ones I depend on their feedback before I can give you an appropriate feedback. So I'm so sorry if I have not given you a feedback on what any of the questions you've asked me about. I'm sorry about that. I hope to try as much as possible to respond, and I hope that I get the feedback as soon as possible so that I can send them back through email to you. And that being said, today I'm excited because I want to talk about my immigration story. I want to talk about how I came to Canada, and it's been a long journey, so I'm going to give a bit of a background of myself so that you have a little bit, you get to know me better. So I was born in Port Harcourt to parents who were civil servants, and I grew up in Port Harcourt. My primary education, my secondary education was in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and at the age of 14 I lost my dad. We are 6 in my family. I have 5 siblings, including me, making us 6, and plus my parents, and then we are 8. So I lost my dad at the age of 14, and it was just my mom left to cater for 6 children. So one of my father's friend, who is a medical doctor in the United States, contacted my mom and told my mom he would like to take one of the children. I'm giving this background story so that you can understand the puzzle, how the puzzle was pieced together, and how I was able to immigrate to Canada. So I have to talk about all these things, and you'll be able to get to how I came to Canada. So that being said, the doctor contacted my mom, and told her he would like to take one of us to the United States, to sponsor us to the United States. And my mom agreed that I would be the one to go to the United States after I had lost my dad. And then I was in SS1. Yes, I was in senior secondary 1. And my mom told my dad's friend that he should wait for me to finish my secondary education, write my WAEC, and at least if I have a WAEC, I should be able to go to the US. And he agreed. So I finished my secondary education and wrote my WAEC, and then got in touch with my dad's friend, and he sent all his documents, sent money, sent everything, and told us to go to the embassy in Lagos to apply for a visa that would bring me to the US. So we left Port Harcourt, went to Lagos. We met one of my aunt, and my aunt took my mom and me to one consultant and one agent. That the plan was, the agent was supposed to coach me on the kind of responses I was supposed to give for the visa interview at the US embassy in Lagos. So when we got to the agent's place and the consultant's place, the agent just told my mom that he doesn't think that the United States embassy was going to give us visa, or give me visa, that I should go and write the test of English foreign language, which is TOEFL. And if I have that with me, it will be able to show enough proof of what I intend to go do in the US if I was going to study in the US. And based on that, we could not do the visa interview in Lagos. So we went back to Port Harcourt, and my mom contacted my dad's friend and told him what had happened. And my dad's friend got upset that we shouldn't have gone to meet an agent or a consultant. We should have gone straight to the US Embassy and get a feedback from the US Embassy first before meeting any agent or whatsoever. So this is where I want to chip in a lesson here, that many agents derail people's destiny, and we should be careful. A lot of people who are contacting agents to help them in their immigration process, please be wise. Please be very careful of who you contact, because some of these agents, or most of them, are just after their money, because they just want to make money out of you, and they'll just give you wrong information which might not help you achieve the purpose you want to achieve at the end of the day. So that's a lesson there, and that's what happened to me. I could not at that time, I wrote the TOEFL, test of English foreign language, but by the time I was supposed to go back to the US Embassy, my dad's friend was no longer interested, in taking me, because he felt that it was already too late for me to come over to the United States. So that was what happened. So that's a bit of my background. And then I finished my secondary. After that incident, I just sat at home, and my mom was wondering what I was supposed to do with myself, because the plan was I would go to the US straight after the embassy had given me visa from Lagos. There was no point for me coming back to Port Harcourt. But here I was back to Port Harcourt, not doing anything. I didn't write JAMB, so I couldn't get any admission into the university, and that was how 1 year was just wasting in my eyes. So my mom suggested for me to go study French in Alliance Française in Port Harcourt. So that was how I went to Alliance Française to study French for 1 month, instead of sitting down at home doing nothing. And after that 1 month, my mother had a conversation with a cousin of ours, and our cousin told her that I could be able to come to do a pre-degree for 1 year, which I could use to gain admission into the university in Delta State. So it was a fantastic idea for my mom, and I saw that instead of me sitting down at home doing nothing, why don't I just go for the pre-degree after my Alliance Française classes for 1 month. And that was what happened. So I went to Delta State University to do a pre-degree. It was not my intention to do French. It was not my intention to even do a pre-degree. All I wanted to do from childhood was to study law. I wanted to be a lawyer. So I got admission to do pre-degree at the Delta State University. And then from the pre-degree, I got admission into the university 100 level. While in 100 level, I was also trying or making attempts to go to study French, to switch my courses to study to study law, not French. I had always wanted to be a lawyer right from time, so I was making attempts to switch my course to study law. And unfortunately, it wasn't working out for me the way I wanted it to work out for me, and I ended up studying French until I graduated from the university. After I finished from the university, I started working immediately, and where I was working, I stumbled on a newspaper advertising come to Canada, immigrate to Canada, come as a student, come as a business person. There's a seminar scheduled for, I can't remember the name of the hotel, but there was a hotel in Ikeja where they were going to hold a seminar on how people could immigrate to Canada. So I took the address, took the date, took everything, and then took time off from work, paid transport, came to Lagos to attend that seminar. That was my first attempt of attempting to come to Canada. So after I attended the seminar, I saw that the only way I could immigrate to Canada was through school, and the school fees was so high for me, because I met representatives from different schools in Canada. University of British Columbia, University of Manitoba, a lot of schools sent their representatives to come for that seminar, and the kind of school fees they were mentioning, it was just blowing my head, because I didn't have that kind of money. So I went back to Port Harcourt, told my mom what the seminar was about, and I told her that I would need her support. Although I was working, but I wasn't earning well, so I decided on thinking of what to do to raise funds for me to immigrate to Canada as a student. But There was no way, there was no funds, and at the same time the stock market, that was when the stock market started booming. That was, I think, in 2006, 2007. The stock market started booming as at then, so I put all the funds I had in the stock market so that I could, yield more money from the stock market and then use that as my school fees for immigrating to Canada as a student. And I also encouraged my mom to put her funds as well in the stock market and have help, because I felt her funds could help in a long way to, like, raise the school fees money for Canada. And she did, and unfortunately the stock market started crashing. I was able to liquidate my stocks, but my mom, who had bulk of the money, could not liquidate her stocks. So that was how my mom lost all her funds in the stock market, and I didn't have enough money. And that was how my first attempt of immigrating to Canada just went down the drain like that, because I didn't have the funds to pay the school fees. So time went by. I left Port Harcourt, got a fantastic job offer in Lagos, moved from Port Harcourt to Lagos and started working in Lagos. And some days I will pass through some places and I'll be seeing all these banners, come to Canada, pay money. So I won't lie to you, there were times I was really tempted to, like, meet those guys, but I knew better that they were not genuine. And that's why my channel is about sharing information, genuine information for people, so that people can do it themselves and not rely on all these banners they see by the wayside deceiving people of how they can come to Canada. Anyway, so I didn't fall for that trick, but I was really tempted, and I understand, because sometimes when you're frustrated, you might get very tempted to do anything, do all sorts, and at the end of the day you might just be losing money for that small slight or small temptation, I'll call it. So I got to Lagos, got a fantastic offer, and I decided to do my master's at the University of Lagos, because I felt, since the opportunity to go do my master's in Canada didn't come forth and I didn't have the resources, let me just do my master's at the University of Lagos. So I did my master's at the University of Lagos, and after I finished my master's at the University of Lagos, I was still working in the company I was working with, and one of my childhood friends just called me and asked me if I was interested in an opportunity in the oil and gas sector, and I told him I wasn't interested in that opportunity, because it was a contract opportunity, and I didn't want to leave my permanent offer for a contract job at the oil and gas sector. But he kept insisting that even if I wasn't interested, I should just go through the whole recruitment phase and see the outcome of what the recruitment process was like. So I did it for him, and this is where I want to say something, that sometimes some opportunities that will lead us to our destiny do not come in the package we want. So I would advise that we do not throw any opportunity at all, no matter how useless it looks like. Do not throw any opportunity at all. So I went through the recruitment phase of that opportunity, and I was very casual about it, because I wasn't ready. I didn't want it. I went for the test, and even the night prior to the test, I just looked at my book, did one or two things, and then went for the test. I wasn't really interested, and then I passed the test, did the first phase of the interview, did the second phase of the interview, and the third phase was where they bring in an occupational psychologist to ask certain questions, and I did that phase as well. So, but because I wasn't interested, I wasn't really giving my best, but somehow it was destined that I would have that job. But anyway, this is how it happened. So where I was working in a German company, there was an announcement December of 2012 that there was going to be a restructuring, and the restructuring had to do with them closing down so many job roles to cut costs, and also outsourcing those job roles. My position was part of the job roles that was going to be outsourced to another company. And that was when it dawned on me that if I had taken the other opportunity for granted, I would have just lost my job like that without any other backup offer. So I was able to go through the recruitment phase at the oil and gas sector, and I got the offer. And then I started working there, and I started working in the human resources department of the oil and gas company, and I met fantastic people who are still my friends today. And one of those days I was very bored. I was chatting with one of my senior colleague, through our office communicator, and I was just complaining to him that I was bored, and he was like, "Why are you bored? Maybe you have a master's degree." I said yes. He now said, "Okay, since you have a master's degree, I think you would do better if you go to Canada." I said, "Canada, I'm not really interested in Canada, Jerry." He was like, "You will do better in Canada if you go to Canada." We had this conversation August of 2014. And I was like, "Why am I going to Canada? I have a good job, I'm earning well, why do I need to go to Canada? Besides, I don't have the money, or I don't have the funds to start putting together to go to Canada," because as at then, I had a building project for my mom, which I was handling, and I was just channeling all my funds, all the resources I had towards that project. And my fiance then also too had his own project. He was just channeling all his funds into his own project. So I told him that I didn't have the funds to put together to start the Canadian process and whatsoever. He was like, "Come, just take this thing serious." So this is where I want to say something. It's like all of the good opportunities I've had, I've never taken them seriously. But somehow the people who brought these opportunities to me, they have been the driving force of my being in Canada today. If they were not pushy, if they did not insist on me taking those opportunities, I would have lost out. So I have learned from these two incidences that every opportunity should not be taken lightly. And I hope anybody that is watching this video should learn as well. Any opportunity that comes your way, do not take it lightly. Put in your best of efforts. So here I was again, making it casual, not interested in the Canada thing. And my senior colleague kept insisting. I call him Egbon. He kept insisting. I was just saying, "Egbon, I'm not interested, Jare. I don't have the money." He said, "Okay, it's money you don't have?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, don't worry. I will pay for your IELTS exam. Go and write it." I said, I told him I wasn't ready to write the exam. In my presence, he paid for the IELTS exam and sent me my registration details. And I was like, why would you do that? Because he asked for my passport and I sent it to him, and next thing he paid for my IELTS exam and told me to go and write the exam. And I was like, "I'm not ready, I'm not prepared." I said, "Don't let my money be wasted. Go and write that exam." And that was how I went to write the IELTS exam. And the next thing he said was, "Go and evaluate your credentials." So I paid for Wes to evaluate my master's credential. And by November, this was in August, he paid for the IELTS exam in August. At the end of August, I wrote the exam in September, and by that same September, I requested for my transcripts to be sent to Wes for it to be evaluated, and I got my ECA in November. And then he printed out all the documents checklist. He printed out the document checklist, asking me to bring all the documents I needed, and then helped me check my application. And let me say this: my immigration to Canada, this was started in 2014, and we're the last set of people who applied for the Federal Skilled Workers Program, where we sent in our documents by courier. Because then I think we're the last set before the introduction of express entry, and express entry became an online thing where you have to upload your documents online. But my set was the last set where we sent in our documents via courier. So he was the one that printed out everything. I filled everything out in his presence. He checked everything to make sure that everything was correct, and he even paid for he sent in this is another interesting thing too. Gathered all my documents, gave them to him. He looked at all my documents again to make sure that everything was correct, and then sent my documents through courier to IRCC in Canada. So he was the driving force behind everything. And I also want to chip this thing here as well. While he was pushing for me, he also also told four other colleagues of mine who were in the same situation like me. In fact, anybody that he feels that can do better in Canada, he will just walk up to them and tell them, come, what are you doing here? Come and apply and go to Canada. Don't be wasting your time here waiting for a permanent position in this company. Just prepare yourself and go to Canada. And most of us then were like, when you're working in oil and gas, of course, you know what it is like. You're just swelling, you're getting the money, but although you're not a permanent staff, the permanent staff, they are the ones enjoying very well. But although as a contract staff, you still get enough money, you're getting the money. So those of us as contractors were like, what's the point? But he was still insisting for my other colleagues to prepare themselves and go to Canada. And he's that type of person. If he sees you and feels that you have great potentials outside the company, he will encourage you to apply elsewhere and not waste your time trying to see how you can grow in the system, when he knows that the opportunity to grow in the system is not there. So he was encouraging almost everybody around me. Unfortunately, it was just me and one other of my colleague that he was very pushful, and we just took it like, okay, let's just make an attempt. And that was my documents. He sent it via courier to IRCC in Canada, and by February of 2015 I got a positive eligibility response. That was, as at that was when express entry had started. And by August I got married and added my spouse to my application, and that same August I was asked to do my medicals. I did my medicals, and by February of 2016 the visa came out, and that was how my immigration story of coming to Canada became a reality. And when all these things was just happening, by 2015 the oil and gas sector around the world started experiencing a downturn. Of course, a lot of people lost their jobs in the process. And it's very interesting because if I had not taken that opportunity seriously, in fact, it was just a casual conversation that resulted to my the whole process starting up. And if I had not taken it seriously, if Egbon had not insisted on me taking the opportunity seriously by even paying for my IELTS exam, I don't think I would be in Canada today. I would have been part of people in Nigeria thinking of ways to come to Canada. And the way the story goes is, I and my other colleague, we landed the same month in Canada, and then the other people who did not take his advice seriously, it was at that point they started meeting him to say, Egbon, please help us, so please help us. He was just laughing. You see, when I was telling you people to take this thing seriously, they were not taking it seriously. Now you are now seeing the importance of this thing, when they are laying people off left, right and center. This is now we are taking it serious. And that was how the others also started their process. And luckily for them, four of them have also landed in Canada. One landed last year December, the other two landed in 2017, and one went to Australia. So this is how my immigration story to Canada came to be. I am very grateful for the people destiny brought my way. I am very grateful for them, because if not for them, and if not for them insisting on me doing things as at when they wanted me to do it, I don't think I will be sitting down here today talking about my immigration story. And I'm also grateful for the way destiny played itself, because if I had not studied French, I don't think I would have worked in the oil and gas company. I would have been a lawyer somewhere, maybe talking too much in court or something. But the way destiny just played itself, that I didn't get to go to the US embassy. I didn't get to go to the US. My immigration plan got derailed from the beginning. I ended up studying French instead of studying law. And then with my French, I got a job opportunity in an oil and gas company that made me meet someone, a senior colleague, a very, very good senior colleague, who started the whole process for me. In fact, and even when he sent the link to me, everything was just looking strange, because it's not everybody that is able to understand the way the Canadian website is and how to get information. And that was how it was for me. The information was just scattered here and there, and I was finding it difficult to navigate the website to really understand their requirements and all that. But because he knew what it was and he knew how to get the information, he just pushed everything my way and started the process for me by paying for my IELTS exam. And here I am today in Canada, trying to help people. So this is why I am doing this. I started this channel to pay it forward, to replicate Egbon, to replicate the efforts of Egbon, somebody like Egbon, who just have the interest of helping people without getting anything back. He never for one day say, give me money. No, instead he was the one spending his own money to make sure that I get something better. And this is what I'm trying to do, and this is what I'm trying to achieve with this channel, to pay it forward, to help as much people as I can by getting all the information that is necessary for anybody who plans to come to Canada, and anybody who's already living in Canada. Any information I can that's going to be useful for your immigration, I will try as much as possible to dig that out, to dig the information out and send it to you. And so that's how my story is, and this is how I ended up in Canada. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully in my next video I'll be talking about why I chose Manitoba. And I'm trying as much as possible to have a schedule, but I've not really been chanced to really have a good schedule where I can say, okay, Monday is for this type of video, Tuesday or Wednesday is for but I try as much as possible every week to upload something related to immigrating to Canada. And I hope my story is not so boring to you and I've not talked too much. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye bye.